Okay. Mr. Bonvechio, what's the estimated cost now that we've selected the architects for the new MLK Junior Library? What are the estimated costs of that project?
The current cost estimates we have are based on the 2012 study, which were roughly $250 million. We're currently undertaking an exercise to price the design idea proposed by McConu and Martinez and Johnson. We expect to have estimates based on that design idea.
We have an idea, don't you, about how much you expect to gather from the air rights?
Not based on that.
You have a range
of funding needed, or
how much, for instance, you're going to be able to garner from the sale of air rights of the facility.
I would have to go back and look at what was initially done, but I believe it was in the. I can't recall off the top, but we did do that analysis back in 2012.
I think you would have it off the top of your head, wouldn't you? I mean, there's no project that's more front and center right now, no higher profile in your line of work than what we're going to do with the funding or financing of our flagship library. If it's going to cost $250 million, and remind me how much the mayor has set aside.
103.
So where will the other $150 million come from?
That's the work that we have ahead of us, is to figure out how to what are the options to fund that gap.
Was we weren't looking, and perhaps Archie can remind me, but I recall when we met, and I could be wrong, and Archie, if I'm wrong, that we were looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a $40 million asset in terms of air rights and so on, which would leave, about a $100 million gap. And the reason I'm asking is at the same time we're looking to try to fund 2 neighborhood libraries on the sale of assets. I mean, if this is going to be real, then we have to have the money. We can't wait, right?
Right, absolutely.
So where would this money come from? I mean, you understand that we seem to be pretty far down the track with having selected an architect, having selected a plan, without having the money in place. That's a bit of a situation, isn't it?
Right, and we have selected an architect. We haven't selected a plan yet. Part of our process, part of the work we'll do with the community and with our board is to determine what is the best approach.
We've spent a lot of money thus far, though, haven't we? We've had to have spent a couple $1 million to get us to this point.
We've spent about $1 million to get us to this point right now, and we currently have $3 million budgeted for this conceptual phase moving forward.
All right. So let me ask either of you, where will we get the other $100 million?
The way that it's currently structured is that the way to bridge that funding gap would be to bring on a development partner.
Right, but that development partner's, I mean, the value of your air rights, I seem to remember being only about $40 million. So $100 million's got to come from somewhere. If you've got 103 from the city and $40 million from the air rights, then what about the rest?
It would the other options out there are from additional city funding or from a deep-pocketed donor.
Okay. Ms. Mecks, let's talk about the new Digital Commons project. Explain that a little bit, what you're doing to support small businesses. That seems to be a really exciting program. Would you tell us a little about that?
Sure. And so Digital Commons opened in July of last year, and it's been an overwhelming success, and we have worked with several organizations to partner with us on the Digital Commons, and we used the Dream Lab as an opportunity for some co-working. And so what we've done with the Dream Lab is we'll allow for organizations to come in. They can get a membership, and it's a free membership, but in exchange for that membership, they agree to do entrepreneurial type programming in the library. And so we've had many people go into the library, to the small entrepreneurs, startups that will go into the library and take advantage of that space. We have smaller co-working spaces where people go in to help develop business plans. So it's been a success in that way. We also recently had the second meeting of DC Meetup, which is a tech community, and in both cases there were 400 to 500 people attending. And basically what the DC Tech Meetup does is it brings together people in the tech industry, and you have angel investors with startups. Yeah. And the startups have an opportunity to pitch their businesses basically to the angel investors and do networking that way as well. We've also, a lot of people have